Thanks for clicking on this video. Be sure to subscribe and click the bell icon and turn on all notifications to keep up to date with the latest information and discussions. Sure, you can have Super come back, but these series, I think, should sound just as fun. Hey guys, MasakoX here. It's that time again, the time for us YouTubers and Dragon Ball enthusiasts to wistfully look up to the sky and utter, Toei, get your act together. Let's be real here. Dragon Ball Super was in full swing and hype between 2017 and the start of this year. Now though, with the movie being readily available on home video, the hype is beginning to reduce with each passing week. It's inescapable. We have to realize that Dragon Ball is not as in the public eye as it was just 12 months ago. The new series of Super is nowhere to be seen. The next movie will probably be taking 2 years at best to be produced, and Super Dragon Ball Heroes, although it's here, it doesn't quite live up to the niche of the Dragon Ball show that we would hope for. Although it is definitely beginning to improve, but slowly. It's just reality. Dragon Ball, like other shows with breaks between them, or with no next entry in sight, or maybe not one at all, will fall into nicedom soon enough. Toei is missing a trick by not announcing something about the show's future. Even if it is saying that there won't be a series, an official statement, as opposed to a rapidly thought response to rumours which only raise speculation on the show's future even more. Just an official statement saying there isn't going to be one. That's all they need to do, just provide some closure. But in all this time of thought and musing over the show's recent past, it's gotten Haverock and I thinking again. And this time, we were looking at all the recent subplots that have either been retooled, revisited from previous series, or introduced right here and now. We thought it would be funny to think about potential spin-offs and/or specials that may get people interested and help maintain the level of Dragon Ball hype that would make a full-on series or movie pop just as much as expected for what it is. I mean, we do have Super Dragon Ball Heroes, as well as the new Kakarot game coming up, but we're looking for another main story to return. Something that people can look to and say, yeah, this is the next chapter in the main timeline. We are always wanting that main timeline connection after all. Now keep in mind, these are only our propositions and a little bit of a brainstorm, and their actual release is highly unlikely. But if anyone from the Dragon Room is watching, send a check. Number 1, the Non-Saiyan characters show. You know how we love our Non-Saiyan characters. Despite them not being the most powerful representatives out there, they are certainly some of the more interesting ones in either how they use their powers or how they interact in general. They have a personality. How sad are we now that they have seemingly grown into obscurity? The first sign of this was with Oolong back in the first arc of the series. He was crucial in saving the world from Pilaf's wish, remember that? After that, he was just a spectator. Not that he would complain about that though. Now one big problem with them is that they're not getting any younger, and it's pretty hard to fit them into the grand scheme of things now we are getting to the levels of Beerus and whatnot. The Tournament of Power attempted to give them some screen time, but I think we all felt Piccolo, Krillin and Ten Shinhan kind of received the short end of the stick. And if you read the manga, the oofs would have been even higher. Now clearly, you would want to see these characters doing what they do normally, which gets to explore their natural surroundings and really embrace what makes them special and why you like them in the first place. Endearment. This special or short series could take place while Goku and Vegeta are absent from Earth, most likely training with Beerus and Whis because that's all they seem to do nowadays. Or maybe they're off chilling with Broly. Now that's a special in of itself. So you would have the Earthlings either dealing with a smaller scale danger, or even better, being on their own journey. You know, kind of like retreading paths that some of them had in the original Dragon Ball, showing some of the familiar places all these years later. But not as glorified cameos or anything, but rather as a fully fledged story. It would be interesting to see some of the characters like Suno, Tao, Bora and Upa, and even some of the competitors from the earlier tournaments just show up again and show what they've been up to all these years. It would also be like a proper send-off for Krillin, Yamcha, Tenshinhan and Piccolo, although the latter has got some chances to return to the spotlight coming up. Just give our favourite green boy some Namekians to fuse with, Toriyama. I think some light-hearted escapades could really work wonders, seeing how good some of the slice-of-life portions of Super were. Number 2. The Broly and Friends show. Now this one is probably the most desired. After the success of the Broly movie and the very enthusiastic debut of Cheelai, oh yeah, Lemmo was there too, the excitement we all have to see the three of them again have more adventures together is very noticeable. We have already discussed this one in a separate video, and our minds haven't changed since we made that. We still want this as much now as we did then. Having the trio of unlikely friends travel around the galaxy and having some adventures together, whilst at the same time hiding from the Frieza Force, might be a delightful prospect for a short series or a special. Granted, Broly is more than able to fend off the Frieza Force on his own, but the constant worry about what they might do to him is enough to add some kind of peril to the story, some kind of tension to what would be an otherwise pretty light-hearted affair. It doesn't even need to give any showcases of Broly's full power. We got that in the movie. We know what he can do, and so to show it off too much could reveal his location to Frieza, and it would be much nicer if it focused on his innocence and him learning how to be part of a galactic society. You know, a little space opera, with some wacky adventures thrown in there for good measure. Maybe a villain working for Frieza, like a bounty hunter or something. I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys would love to see Broly again, and while it is very likely that the next movie of Dragon Ball will be a sequel, something like this could nicely fill the gaps between both cinematic releases. Like some kind of Disney TV series, what they do. Toei is capable of doing a similar tactic. Number 3. The History of Hit. Now this one feels pretty unlikely, mostly because of the time frame that Dragon Ball currently occupies. That being said, if the Dragon Room and Toei wanted to expand their franchise a little bit, you know, just really try and appeal to a different part of their audience and demographic, they could give us something telling the story of our favourite time-bending assassin. Now Hit, he deserves some love. With Jiren superseding Hit's role as Goku's ultimate rival, Hit doesn't really have a purpose anymore, aside from being the bastion of Universe 6, sometimes allying with the Saiyans of his universe. He has matured considerably in the short time that we've known him, and has managed to integrate himself with people much more than he had done before he had met Goku, and as we know, Goku does have that kind of effect. This could be a special with a similar mood and format to the highly beloved Bardock Father of Goku special, or History of Trunks, that greatly present the potential of a darker spin-off of our favourite series. We have very little information about Hit presently, and we are left to speculate quite a bit. Does he have a family? He has that running from a past pain vibe about him. Where did he come from? Did he have any notable fights in Universe 6 prior to what we got today? Remember, he's at least 1,000 years old. He's even older than Turtle. There's so much for us to unpack with this character, and for us to no longer see him these days would be a real shame, thematically speaking. We know that it is hard to have a show about an assassin in a weekend morning cartoon slot, but we believe that it could be something different. And if not this, we could always get the Universe 6 show, number 4. One of the most asked for mini-arcs in the series by a mile. We got an offer from Kaba for the Universe 7 Saiyans to come visit him and his friends in Universe 6, and that invite has gone unused. Why? We have now seen the scenery of their version of Sadala. It's very nice. But what we want to see is how Vegeta and Goku react and interact with the people who live there. Do they look down on the two interlopers? Do they view them as curiosities? We want to know. While it doesn't seem like we're going to Universe 6 anytime soon with Goku and Vegeta, it could be a pretty neat idea to test the waters of a potential spin-off by utilising those characters in their own show. We got a snippet of that for a couple of episodes while Caulifla and Kale were figuring out their Super Saiyan powers, and we realised that that trio were a pretty good bunch to follow. They had a good dynamic. That's the thing about modern Dragon Ball, I've noticed. You get some good groups. Individuals vary in interest, but put them together and you get some good stuff. With this idea, you still have Saiyans, but they are a little bit less strong, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. You also have some interesting characters like Hit, Frost, or even Botamo and Vegeta, if written properly. To see what those guys are doing in their everyday lives would be a blast. To give Universe 6 Saiyans some struggle to kind of balance out the whole tingly back controversy would really be a treat also. Even seeing how Champa runs his universe day to day, that would be kind of a treat, especially with some more sassy Vados thrown in there too, giving him lip every other day. I think out of all the ideas, this one, as well as maybe the Broly one, are the safest choices. If Toei would ever want to test the waters for a Dragon Ball series excluding Goku, this is a good bet. Number 5. The Time Patrol show. Yeah, I know what you're going to say. We already have Super Dragon Ball heroes. We already have Xenoverse. That is very true. The game world has definitely made the most of the Time Patrol, especially with giving Trunks some brilliant opportunities for merchandise, screen time, yeah. But to have a proper show detailing on how future Trunks became Xeno Trunks, who are considered to be separate beings originally, but we are seeing more and more evidence that this might not be the case for much longer. That would be interesting. Longer but simpler narratives, more screen time for Cronoa, as well as their initial working relationship, and some more creative uses of time travel. I must say that although storytelling is not the strongest side of Xenoverse, we still kind of enjoyed these characters, and given the right setting and the right circumstances, we think it could make for quite an enjoyable experience, or at least a place for future Trunks and future Mai to go after we kind of ran out of ideas for them, like the writers did. Number 6, the history of Jiren. Totally obvious. Again, we have talked extensively about this, but we need to know more about Jiren's origins, not just a 2 or so minute recap of the basic story, which seemed more derivative than informative. Before I will most likely get flooded by the tidal wave of but Masako's, let me explain. Yes, we feel that Jiren's backstory is pretty lackluster, as was his motivation, but a lot of this can be blamed on its presentation. There was simply not enough time. There's always time for a plot. After the Roshi fake-out had managed to take some emotional investment from us, maybe we could spend some more time with the kinder Jiren and Gichin, his master. We could grow some more sympathy towards Jiren's case. This special could also deal with the forming of the Pride Troopers, Toppo gathering his team together, and revealing the identity of the mysterious demonic entity which took out Jiren's master. There is potential in here, one that could redeem one of the most divisive characters from Super in the eyes of the viewers. We think that would be worth risking. After all, the Pride Troopers are, quite frankly, some of the more popular characters and crew that were introduced into Dragon Ball in the Super days since the Ginyu Force. The Para brothers, get out of town. Now, if you want to know more about our thoughts, look into our video on Jiren from a few weeks back, and you will start to see what we're talking about. Number 7, Jaco, the Galactic Patrolman. Okay, we're cheating a little bit, since this is already a thing in the form of a manga. In fact, this is a prequel to Dragon Ball, taking place 10 years before the original Dragon Ball. It even includes the infamous Dragon Ball minus in some guys towards the end. Jaco's story is woven into that chestnut. In fact, Jaco was supposed to arrest Goku, who crash-landed on Earth. Now, we won't be spoiling the entire story, but it's quite fun, and it's a miracle that it hasn't been adapted into an animated medium. To see this whole adventure animated could be a real treat. But why stop here? You could also team up Jaco with the likes of Goten and Trunks and make a continuation in the Super Canon, finally giving the tween Saiyans something to do. So if we cannot have any of our made-up spin-offs made, maybe Toei could, animate the actual Dragon Ball spin-off that they got. Well, it's wishful thinking. But we hope that you liked our little list. What would be on yours? Make sure to leave a comment below. So what do you guys think? Is there another spin-off that you would like to see in Dragon Ball? Are our suggestions something that really need to be made? Leave a comment below and let's get this discussion going. And I shall see you in the next video. Catch you later!